Senator Ron Watson and Delegate Matt Morgan join us in today's Statehouse Spotlight. Welcome back, gentlemen. How are you feeling? You must be really tired after that long final day.
Long day.
Yeah.
It's been a long day, but yeah, we're ready to go.
Yeah, all right, like, whew, it's over now. All right, the budget finally got worked out with $2.5 billion in cuts and $1.6 billion in taxes. Senator Watson, are you satisfied with how it all came together?
No, no one's really truly satisfied on this one. I mean, we had to really put pen to paper. We reduced the governor's ability to fill vacancies, put aside funding to assist impacted workers. But the bottom line is taxes had to go up. And although 92% of taxpayers will see a refund or no increase, those earning over 500K will. And we've had to make several other cuts and other additional taxes, cannabis, sports betting, rental cars. I mean, it was really broad-based what we had to do. Very, very tough. And I'm hoping we'll never have to do this again.
And Delegate Morgan, you don't agree that taxes needed to go up. What is the Republicans' take on this budget?
Well, I'm just extremely disappointed that we couldn't make the necessary cuts, especially to programs that really are just not working. When the budget came down to it, we made cuts to vacant positions and took a lot of money out of the rainy day fund, but then we end up settling on increasing $1.6 billion of taxes. Now, those taxes, I just don't really feel are really well thought out. The budget came to the floor yesterday. Look, I think it's a travesty that we waited to the last day of session to pass a budget, but we're asking questions on it, dealing with NIC codes and things like that. And it turns out that the ITS tax that they keep talking about, on data services, that's going to end up taxing consumers' ISPs, their internet service providers. And look, when you do stuff like that, those taxes just get passed on to consumers very quickly. I think there's going to be big problems on the horizon.
And Delegate Morgan, you know, there is talk about a recession coming, maybe in the second half of the year. What kinds of safeguards are there in this budget to protect against an uncertain future?
Well, the biggest safeguards that protecting from an unpredictable future should be the economy, should be the free market. Look, if you can't find a job, if you have a robust private sector, you can just leave your job and go to another job. And that's what we really wanted this budget to focus on. And I just really feel it was a completely missed opportunity this session, and not just on the budget and taxes, but also on energy.
All right. We'll talk a little more about that in just a minute. Senator Watson, you know, what are some of the other big takeaways? You mentioned some of the tax hikes. What else came out of this session?
Well, the recognition that decisions made at the federal level continue to impact us. I mean, we're working through the budget in just the last 2 weeks. We have a $418 million hit because the president decides to stop federal funding and make decisions that we have to mobilize our attorney general to fight for. These put holes in our budget. These are things that we have to react to and respond to, and we don't expect this to stop. We will most likely be back here in September dealing with the same thing once the federal government finalizes its budget.
All right, and Delegate Morgan, you know, you mentioned energy. There is an emphasis on making Maryland more energy independent, and we've spoken before about, you know, offshore wind energy. How can St. Mary's and some other those coastal counties really take the lead in this movement?
Well, really, I don't think we should be taking the lead in alternative energy. What Maryland needs to get back to and solve this problem is 40% of our energy comes from out of state. We need more base load energy. That only really comes like substantially from nuclear and natural gas. And that's where Maryland's really missing the boat. I think a lot of people, the opponents of this, feel that we can solve this with solar and wind with some type of battery technology. They never realize that batteries don't create any energy, they just store it. So we're really missing on base load energy, and it's getting to be concerning in this state as data centers start coming into neighboring states like Pennsylvania. You know, at some point, Pennsylvania is not going to be willing to ship their electricity to Maryland, and if they do, it's going to be at an extraordinary cost. This is a problem that we must get solved, and I'm just not sure we got there this session.
All right, Senator Watson, you know, deportations, they're in the news, and one of the bills passed prohibits ICE from entering sensitive locations, and this, of course, comes as we wait for this Maryland man to be returned from an El Salvador prison. Could this bill have maybe helped with that situation?
I don't think so. It's my understanding he was picked up while driving a car. This bill really talks about public schools, public libraries, but the sensitive locations are any place not accessible to the general public without a federal warrant. I don't think this will stop, but it could help. But unfortunately, there have been parents who have dropped their kids off at school and been picked up by ICE. Now, can you imagine the trauma inflicted on those kids having to witness something like this? It's horrible. And so we'll continue to try to find ways and work with our Attorney General to see how we can protect our kids and make this make sense, because right now it really doesn't.
All right, very busy session. Thank you both, Delegate Matt Morgan and Senator Ron Watson, for joining us on this week's Statehouse Spotlight.
Thank you.
And we're going to have more news and another check on your forecast when we come right back.